Hello and welcome back to JVSCP. Today we're going to be taking a look at 3 entries that are items, that are things. So let's get to it. SCP-2380 by BIDS-180 from the SCP-wiki. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-2380 is to be kept in Containment Locker 2380 at Site-39, with access barred to all personnel with a clearance level under 3. In the event of any breach in containment, Junior Researcher Östergaard is to be taken into protective custody by security personnel until containment is restored. Take a shot every time I say Junior Researcher Östergaard in this video, and actually don't do that, you might not end up alive. Outside of controlled testing environments, bare-skin contact is not to be made with SCP-2380, and protective equipment is to be used at all times. Description: SCP-2380 is a human left kidney, a genetic match to one Östergaard, a junior researcher at Site-39 in Denmark. Neither the internal nor external structure of SCP-2380 bears any notable deviations from that of any average human kidney. The cells of SCP-2380 do not differ from non-anomalous human kidney cells in any detectable way. All tissue remains healthy, however, despite the lack of blood flow to or from the object. SCP-2380 exhibits both a passive and active anomalous effect. Passively, 2380 constantly rotates by currently unknown means, such that its superior pole is pointing toward Junior Researcher Östergaard at all times. The active anomalous effect of SCP-2380 manifests when it is held or touched with bare skin by any human subject apart from Junior Researcher Östergaard. Upon touching 2380, the subject, henceforth designated 2380-1, will attempt to implant 2380 into Junior Researcher Östergaard by any means available. If surgical instruments or other sharp implements are accessible, instances of -1 will make use of them, but those affected have been observed to attempt implantation without any tools or instruments of any kind. Worth noting is that Junior Researcher Östergaard is still in possession of both of his kidneys, which appear to be healthy and fully functional. It is not known at this time what instances of -1 would do with Junior Researcher Östergaard's current left kidney if his abdominal cavity was successfully accessed. Upon removal of the kidney from the possession of affected -1 individuals, the active anomalous effects of 2380 will cease until it again comes into contact with exposed human skin. Previously affected -1 individuals will express a lack of awareness of their actions, but possess the notion that, while affected, they were attempting to implant Östergaard's kidney using proper medical procedure (parentheses, surgical scrubs, sterilized medical equipment, designated operating theater, etc.). End parentheses. This belief is maintained by -1 individuals with and without prior surgical experience, as well as -1 individuals without prior knowledge of Östergaard's identity. No other anomalous or abnormal effects have been noted in former -1 individuals, nor in Junior Researcher Östergaard himself. Recovery. SCP-2380 was discovered by Junior Researcher Östergaard, resting on his desk in Research Sector of Site-39, the morning of 2011. Security footage from the morning of and the preceding night do not show any evidence of entry into Research Sector before Östergaard's arrival. Investigation of Östergaard provides no evidence that he was in any way aware of the existence of 2380, nor anything anomalous regarding his kidneys prior to the morning of. Upon the arrival of Dr. Östergaard's immediate supervisor, 2380 was picked up and manifested its anomalous effects. Dr. grabbed a letter opener from a nearby desk and proceeded to pursue Östergaard through the hallway until apprehended by security personnel. At this time, 2380 fell to the ground and its effects ceased. As Dr. was taken into custody, SCP-2380 was retrieved by Officer, making the object's anomalous properties known when he attempted to breach Junior Researcher Östergaard's abdominal cavity with a paperclip. In a way, I feel like this is the exact type of entry that initially fascinated me about the SCP universe, because I feel like you're made aware of it through any of the spooky ones, the blinking, what is it? No, you can't blink. The thing, the bean thing, and if you blink, it moves, all that. And the big dragon and all the other ones, you know, that are spooky, that are scary. But obviously, if you've seen any videos on this channel before, you know that we're a bit drawn to the safe ones. And to me, it's because I think, at least, one of the reasons is that if we are to entertain the idea that the world has all of these abnormalities, right? All of these impossible creatures and objects and effects and other type of just anomalies, I guess, then that would mean that there are stuff like this as well. Like in the same way that in Harry Potter, you have the boy who lived, who is like, I don't know, the fucking main character of the entire wizarding society. There is also the magical little bank working goblin, or in the same way that you can Avada Kedavra fucking kill someone with a spell, there's another spell whose sole purpose is to tie a little knot. And I find that so interesting. And this is one of those where it's like, there's no lore, from what I can tell. It doesn't really connect to anything. It might be based on like an inside joke between the author and one of their friends, for all we know. It might also just be nothing. But without it, it would be very strange that we have a big angry dragon, but we don't have a kidney that just points to someone, and anyone who touches that kidney tries to put it into the person that it's pointing at, despite it not being his kidney in the first place. I could definitely see that some people would find entries like this one to be a bit mundane, and I could even partly agree that maybe this one could have benefited from having just a little bit of an extra, like a zing, like a little extra something, you know? But at the same time, yeah, I fuck with this hard. This is the exact type of shit that I want to be reading, because I think it's so fun, it's so cool. Nice. That's all for this one. Let's move on. SCP-8045 by JorgeMtzb. I don't know if it's George or Jorge or whatever, so sorry, buddy. From the SCP Wiki. Containment class. Safe. Disruption class. Dark. Risk class. Notice. Special containment procedures. SCP-8045 is to be contained in a standard low-risk anomalous containment locker at Site-19. Access to 8045 requires Level 2 clearance. Testing involving 8045 must be conducted in a controlled environment with surveillance cameras monitoring the testing area. No anomalous items, including other SCP objects or sentient creatures, are to be left underneath 8045 overnight. Description: SCP-8045 is a standard-sized 51 cm by 56 cm goose-down feather pillow with no discernible manufacturer's label or markings. The pillow is composed of ordinary materials consistent with those found in non-anomalous pillows. SCP-8045 exhibits its anomalous properties at night. Footnote: for the purposes of 8045, night starts at the point in which the sun is fully below the horizon at its location. When placed on a bed, footnote, any piece of furniture made for the specific purpose of sleeping, with an item left underneath the pillow between itself and the bed. These properties manifest only when all human individuals in direct sightline of the bed are either sleeping in the bed or are otherwise unconscious. If a fully conscious individual is present throughout the entirety of the night, 8045 will not exhibit its anomalous effects. When these conditions are met, a fairy, footnote, the appearance of these fairies varies widely in size, shape, and appearance, but they all exhibit characteristics resembling the most popular modern form of mythical fairies from folklore in media: small humanoid creatures with butterfly-like wings. Fairy, labeled -1 corresponding to the specific item type left underneath 8045, will manifest in the room. 8045 consistently summons the exact same -1 instance for any given item. All -1 instances wear miniature name tags identifying them as the fairy of that particular type of item. The fairy will approach 8045, retrieve the item left underneath it, and subsequently attempt to depart the room by flying away, disappearing shortly thereafter. In exchange for the item, the fairy will leave behind a form of payment. Usually, though not exclusively, it will leave behind some kind of currency, most commonly in the form of a single quarter. If an 8045-1 instance is interrupted in some manner before it is able to retrieve the item left underneath 8045, it will prematurely disappear. It will attempt to complete its task later in the night when the conditions for its appearance are met once again. Surveillance footage indicates that 8045's effects are not impeded by the presence of cameras.
Testing log, SCP-8045.
Note: each test consists of the same procedure, leaving an object underneath 8045 laid over a designated bed.
Test A. Object.
1 human tooth.
Results.
The tooth fairy manifests, taking the object and leaving behind a quarter.
Test B. Object.
1 dog tooth.
Results.
Same as for human tooth.
Test C. Object.
1 synthetic human tooth.
Results.
The tooth fairy manifests, taking the object and leaving behind a counterfeit quarter.
Test D. Object.
1 printed photograph of a human tooth.
Results.
A distinct paper fairy manifests, taking the object and leaving behind a quarter.
Test T. Object.
1 quarter.
Results.
The money fairy manifests, taking the object and leaving behind a human tooth.
I love that. It's a fair exchange rate. Say what you want, but they're doing honest business, you know? It's not much, but it's an honest job.
Test F. Object.
1 $20 bill.
Results.
The money fairy manifests, taking the object and leaving behind an entire set of human teeth.
Test G. Object.
1 counterfeit quarter.
Results.
The money fairy manifests, taking the object and leaving behind a synthetic human tooth.
Test H. Object.
None. No item left beneath 8045.
Results.
The bedsheet fairy manifests, taking the bedsheets and leaving behind a quarter.
Coin. I don't know why I think that's very funny. The bedsheet fairy.
Test I. Object.
None. No items left beneath 8045. Bedsheets were removed.
Results.
The mattress fairy manifests, taking the bed and leaving behind a quarter coin. 8045 is left laying on the ground.
Knowing the SCP Foundation, I kind of feel like we'll be in big trouble if we continue down this line, because eventually, you know, the planet fairy is gonna come along and that won't be good.
Test J. Object.
1 GPS tracker.
Results.
The GPS tracker fairy manifests, taking the object and leaving behind a quarter coin. Signal was lost the instant the GPS tracker fairy demanifested.
Test K. Object.
1 pair of white socks.
Results.
The sock fairy manifests, taking one of the socks and leaving behind a different mismatching sock.
Test L. Object.
1 human tooth and 1 quarter.
Results.
The tooth fairy and money fairy both manifest, retrieving their respective objects and leaving behind a quarter coin and a human tooth. Subsequently, they engage in a continuous exchange, taking the item left by the other fairy and replacing it with their own, creating an infinite loop. This exchange persists for approximately 2 hours underneath 8045, at which point the fairy manifests, taking both fairies away and leaving behind 2 quarter coins.
This is like coding logic. This just happened to be like a loop, you know? It just kept doing the same checks. It's a good thing that the fucking fairy was there to save us from crashing, I guess.
Test M. Object.
1 human tooth.
Results.
No result.
Test N. Object.
1 quarter.
Results.
No result.
Testo. Object.
1. Pillow.
Results.
The pillow fairy manifests, taking both the object and 8045 itself, leaving behind 2 quarter coins before flying away and demanifesting alongside 8045, which has not been recovered since.
Why the fuck would they do that? What? That's like what the fuck? Why? First of all, let's address the elephant in the room here. The implication here is that whatever these fairies take is gone. That's like permanently gone somewhere. Who knows where, you know? Essentially dead, right? The Foundation killed the Tooth Fairy and the Quarter Fairy, which I feel like isn't as well known as the Tooth Fairy, but both of them, you know, be mourned and to rest in peace and all that. And then their immediate follow-up action to that is like, yeah, let's do the one thing that's gonna risk this entire object disappearing permanently. You know, let's do that. Fucking and they have like no conclusion as well. There's no, it doesn't after that say anything. It's not, yeah, so after this, researcher yada yada was reprimanded for... No, they're just like standing there. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Good work, everyone. Fucking killed the Tooth Fairy and the Quarter Fairy. I feel like you could come up with another glitch to get them back if you still had the pillow. But now we don't, so thank you very much, some of my colleagues, man. SCP-80 by Anomalous. From I'm gonna interrupt myself because I started reading this and it's really cool, but it's too long to be included here. Instead, I'm gonna give it the proper treatment and you're gonna see it in the next SCP entry video, which is gonna be only this one, because it seems to have some tie-in material that I started to read and then I realized that yeah, it's too much to put into this video. So sorry for cucking you out of a third entry this week, but that's just how things go. I want to do we want to do things right, you know. We want to give things the time they deserve, and from what I started reading of this third one, to tease you a little bit, it was very, very cool. So let's go through it properly next time. So with that, all that's left to say is thank you for watching this video. On screen right now, you should be able to see our patrons and YouTube members, and I think that you should consider joining them. Right now, I can tell you that I think the main goal is for us to get just enough cash coming in that we can afford to buy Veeti a better microphone, something like this that I have here with a little audio card, so that whenever Veeti does one of their installments that we want to do more of, because you seem to like the last one, the audio will be up to the standard that you've come to expect from this channel. So that's the goal right now, and I haven't haven't even asked Veeti about this, so you can put a little text here, Veeti, if you're like, I already have a good microphone, I don't know. Thank you for watching. Talk to you next week when we'll be doing the Anti-Memetics Division once again, and then the week after that when we'll be looking into this third entry from this video. Damn, it got dark now. It was very bright just a couple of seconds ago. See ya. Bye-bye.